Well, hello, church family. It is my privilege to share with you today a quick word. It is April 23rd, day 7,352 of quarantine, and I have an encouraging word for you today to think about during this time. And it comes from the book of Mark, chapter 4, starting with verse 35. This is a story commonly known as Jesus Calms the Storm. And this is what it says. That day when evening came, he came to his disciples. "Let us go over to the other side." Leaving the crowd behind, they took him along just as he was, in the boat. There was also other boats with him. A furious squall came up, and the waves broke over the boat, so that it was nearly swamped. Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the waves, "Quiet, be still." And then the wind died down, and it was completely calm. He said to his disciples, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" And they were terrified, and they asked each other, "Who is this? Even the wind and the waves obey him." Now, this is one of my favorite stories in the Bible. It's a story we all know, and it's very common to us. And here's the reason. Be like Jesus, take naps. I love how Jesus is sleeping so soundly during this storm, and they have to wake him up. And so they wake him up, and they say, "Jesus, don't you care?" And if we consider this storm as a metaphor for all of the storms we face in life, both physical and mental, both coronavirus and other things in normal life, if this storm is a metaphor, then we need to know, first of all, that yes, Jesus does care, and he's with you. I think what's interesting is that Jesus never avoided the storms. He was right there with the disciples the whole time. Yes, he was taking a pretty deep nap. He was tired. He was the Son of God after all. But at the same time, he is with the disciples during this storm. And I think it's safe to say that he is with us. He is with you during the storm. He's with you during quarantine. He's with you during family issues. He is with you during the storm. Last night in our youth Bible study, we looked at the story of Paul and Silas in prison. Jesus was with them in the prison. Here the disciples are in a physical storm. And if this storm reminds us of anything, it is that Jesus is with us during the storm. And they say, "Don't you care?" And Jesus says, "Of course I care." And he calms the storm. And it just reminds us of the second thing for us today is that Jesus is bigger than the storm. Can I just tell you really simply, we all know this. Jesus is bigger than coronavirus. Jesus is bigger than the isolation. Jesus is bigger than the fears that we have. Jesus is bigger than the storm. The next thing is this. Today's pain is tomorrow's wisdom. We don't learn and grow without being stretched and pushed. See, I think that when we all come out of this time of isolation, sorrow, fear, pain, frustration, we'll be wiser because of it. The disciples lived through this storm because Jesus calmed the storm. And he asked them, "Don't you have faith?" And they were terrified because they had just seen such great power from Jesus. Imagine in the future, Jesus dies, he's resurrected, and he leaves the disciples behind to find the first church, to found the first churches, to spread the word, to spread the message. The disciples have this story in their back pocket. They're wiser because of it, because they lived through the storm, they saw Jesus was with them, and they survived it. Today's pain is tomorrow's wisdom. So think about these things today. Jesus cares and he's with you in the storm. Jesus is bigger than the storm. And today's pain is tomorrow's wisdom. We love you. We miss you. We hope to see you Sunday at the church drive-in service.